All right, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Tonight we have the invocation provided by Reverend Brad Rogers of the First Presbyterian Church. Thank you, sir.
Good evening. As you mentioned, my name is Brad Rogers, one of the pastors at First Presbyterian Church in Bonita Springs. It's an honor to be among you and to offer the invocation this evening. Thank you for that privilege. If I could take just a quick moment of personal privilege for a quick invitation. Tomorrow evening, on May the 7th at 7 p.m., we are hosting, on behalf of all the churches and pastors in Bonita Springs, a National Day of Prayer gathering at our church at 7 p.m., where we will be specifically upholding our public servants like you and the sheriff's office in the back of the room. You would be most welcome to join us in the sanctuary at 7 p.m. on behalf of all the pastors and churches. Let's say a word of prayer. Gracious and holy God, we are so grateful to you. Lord, we thank you for this day that you have given to us, this another beautiful day that you've entrusted to us here in Southwest Florida. We thank you for the community in which we live, for the individuals who live in this community and the greatness of the culture in this community. We thank you for those who are in public service, who are leading this city, and we ask, Lord, that you would give them wisdom and guidance as they make decisions, that we might seek the flourishing of those within our town. We also pray, Lord, for all of our public servants, the first responders, some of whom are in this room right now and some of whom are out on duty elsewhere. We ask, O Lord, that you would protect them and guide them, that this would be a safe place for people to dwell. Lord, we are so grateful for the countless ways that you are at work within our community. And we ask, Lord, that this meeting would bring you honor and glory. And we pray all of these things in the name of the God in whom I trust. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call.
Councilmember Bogas.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Purdon.
Here.
Councilmember Carr.
Here.
Mayor Gibson.
Here.
Councilmember Corey.
Here.
Councilmember Fullick.
Here.
Councilmember Fitzpatrick.
Here.
Thank you. All right, public comment on agenda items. Is there any public comment on agenda items tonight?
We do have 2 registered speakers for the public hearing item 7A.
But that'll just be
Correct.
Yeah. So not now on that, but anybody else on any other item? All right. Seeing none, we'll go into the proclamations and presentations. I think Deputy Mayor Purdon was handling the first one.
Right here.
Oh, yeah. Antonio's got a mic for you.
If I could have you guys join me up front. Whereas the city of Bonita Springs proudly joins communities across the United States in commemorating National Police Week, honoring the courage, integrity, and selfless dedication of law enforcement professionals who safeguard our communities and uphold the values we cherish as Americans. And whereas the Bonita Springs Community Policing Unit serves a crucial role in strengthening the fabric of our city, protecting our neighborhoods, fostering trust, upholding justice, preserving peace, and responding to emergencies with swift action, compassion, and expertise. And the men and women of Bonita Springs Community Police Unit exemplify the highest ideals of service, valor, and professionalism, thereby earning our profound respect, gratitude, and admiration. National Police Week provides the citizens of Bonita Springs with an opportunity to honor our law enforcement professionals and express our heartfelt appreciation for their unwavering courage and commitment to protecting our community. Now, therefore Mayor Mike Gibson, on behalf of the city of Bonita Springs, do hereby proclaim National Police Week in the city of Bonita Springs and extend our deepest gratitude to past and present members of Bonita Springs Community Policing Unit and the entire Lee County Sheriff Office, whose dedication and exceptional service has made the city of Bonita Springs one of the safest cities in America, especially Blakely. Done and ordered this day, May 6, 2026. Thank you, guys. And I've got, we have Bonita Springs pins for each one of you, too. This and this. I believe you're in the process of getting permission to wear them, but if you can, we very proud to have you guys have these on. We have them. Nobody else really has them, but it'll be an honor for us. Sounds like the heart. Did everybody get one? Okay. All right, and I'll give you some extras because I know there's some who weren't able to make it. All right, so now let's smile for the picture.
Coast Guard Auxiliary, and who's the other one on the team?
It's the members of the Sheriff's Office Marine Unit are also here.
Hey, thank you guys. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Hey, if you guys want to come join. No, we can have somebody else take a picture too if you want.
Well done, Jesse.
You want to get in here? Is there anybody from the Sheriff Marine Unit here also? All right. So we have another proclamation. Whereas Bonita Springs is blessed with an abundance of fresh water and coastal resources, coupled with beautiful weather year-round, offering residents and visitors from around the world exceptional opportunities for water-related recreation. And whereas in our community, boating is more than just a pastime, it embodies a way of life that is deeply woven into our identity, tourism, and economic vitality. With over 50,000 registered boats in Lee County alone, and more than 1 million vessels across the state, Florida rightly holds the title as the boating capital of the world. And whereas boating safety is a critical concern, with an average of 700 lives lost annually in boating accidents across the United States, many of which stem from human errors that could be prevented through adherence to fundamental safety practices that include carrying emergency communication equipment, wearing life jackets, and maintaining sobriety while on the water. And whereas National Safe Boating Week serves as an opportunity for every boater, from novices to seasoned mariners, to reaffirm their commitment to safe practices, including responsible navigation, obtaining vessel safety checks, participating in boater education courses, and complying with all federal, state, and local boating laws. Now, therefore, I, Mike Gibson, Mayor, on behalf of City Council, do hereby proclaim the week of May 16th through the 22nd, 2026 as National Safe Boating Week in the city of Bonita Springs, and express appreciation for the dedicated efforts of the following agencies in promoting boating safety and reducing accidents in the U.S. Coast Guard, the U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary, Wiggins Pass Flotilla 96, the Lee County Sheriff's Office Marine Unit, and the Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission, and all other organizations committed to boating safety awareness. Done and ordained this 6th day of May, 2026.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say thanks on behalf of the Coast Guard, the U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary Flotilla 96. And I appreciate how the proclamation really gets at the essence of our community and how integral water is and how important safe boating is. In a place with so many boats, so many people in a hurry to get somewhere. And our big message is, as we approach National Safe Boating Week, is boating education. The more people know, the more they practice safe boating, and the safer we all are. So again, thank you to everyone, Mayor, Council, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity to be here. I kind of just second what he said. Boating safety is what we view as the best approach to avoid the unfortunate accidents that we do come across, unfortunately too often out on the water. So if you guys ever have any concerns or questions, don't hesitate to reach out to the Lee County Sheriff's Office, Marine Unit, and we'll be sure to get you the resources and the information that you guys need to pass to yourselves or whoever you may be inquiring for boating safety, because that's the best way to prevent anyone from losing their lives, doing an activity that we love so much in this region. So again, thank you all for this. I appreciate it.
All right, moving on to public hearings. 7A.
This is the second reading of a zoning ordinance of the City of Bonita Springs, Florida, an amendment to a residential plan development to allow a 149-foot monopole wireless facility and related infrastructure located at 12760 Fox Ridge Drive, Bonita Springs, Florida, 34135, providing for an effective date.
Mayor, at this time, I'd like to swear in any witnesses. So this is, if you're here for this item, this is the cell phone tower. Please stand and be sworn in if you intend to give any testimony. You raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. Thank you.
Good evening, Council. Mike Fegun with Community Development for the record. Yes, as you heard from Mike, this is the second reading and public hearing on this zoning amendment. You did have your first reading back on April 1st, where you heard the full presentation from the applicant. I don't believe there was any questions or additional follow-up that was needed from that as far as what the board needed to consider from there. The continuance was more or less because of some ministerial internal housekeeping items that needed to occur within Hunter's Ridge. Those items do not affect the staff recommendation, the conditions, the overall plan, the stipulations, all the statement of needs. All of those things are still intact. This case was heard by your Planning and Zoning Board on March 17th. They voted unanimously to approve the amendment request. Staff and the applicant are still in agreement on the conditions. So with that, if there's anything else you need, we're here. Otherwise, we can turn it over to public comment.
Any comments before public comment? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Any members of the public who'd like to speak on this item?
We have two registered speakers. I'll call those first. Don Hupprich, and he'll be followed by Kevin Keene.
For the record, my name is Don Hupprich. I'm one of the managers at Hunter's Ridge. We did continue this after the first hearing because we wanted to make sure that there was no question whether or not the membership was very, very supportive of this. So we held a properly noticed special meeting of the Hunter's Ridge members. We've been talking about the installation of this cell tower for the last 2 years, but we wanted to have a formal vote of the membership. Over the meetings over the last 2 years, through the board meetings, there's always been a large show of hands in support of this, but we wanted to have an official meeting to make it legal. Last Wednesday, April the 29th, we held a meeting. We have 562 properties. State statute requires us to have 30% to have a quorum, so we needed 169 in attendance or by proxy. With the vote, we ended up with 313, which was well over the quorum requirement. We had well over a majority of the members there. Out of the 313, 273 voted in favor of approving the cell tower through the amendment process to our PUD. I just also really wanted to add that that's approximately 87% of those members that were either in attendance or voted by proxy, 87% of the membership. As Mike indicated, we have previously held 2 community meetings, one on August the 14th of 2025, the community meetings for the surrounding communities of Worthington and Quail West. We had approximately 35 folks attend those meetings, no opposition. The, as Mike indicated, community staff, the community development staff, which they, have been very, very cooperative, very helpful. The city is blessed with a wonderful community development staff. I can't give them enough accolades, not only with this, but for everything that we have done with the city over the last 35 years that I've been there. But the staff really recognize there is a clear need for this. Planning and Zoning Board that we got before on March the 17th was unanimous that, this was a need. And then with the first hearing, you all were again unanimous moving forward. My plea all along has been, for emergency purposes, we need the cell tower. When we have difficult weather, especially during hurricane season, tropical storms, we have no capacity. And when we have emergencies, we're in trouble. So this cell tower is definitely needed, and we really would appreciate your support to approve the amendment which would allow this cell tower. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Kevin Keene.
I'm Kevin Keene. I live in Hunters Ridge, and I'm told I have 3 minutes. This should be easy, but it won't be. Honestly, though, I'm here to present what I think or help to prevent what could be a very, very costly mistake. None of us are here to do that. We all appreciate how important zoning laws are. They're here to serve a very important number of purposes. We've had to override this in order to make an approval of this, putting a commercial enterprise or a commercial unit in a residential area. And I do appreciate that for safety reasons, better phone service is important. I think we could use some better coverage. However, I don't know that it's a major problem. I've been an owner there for about 25 years. I don't know of any problems like safety that have happened. I'm not saying they haven't, but I've never heard of any. And what I'm really trying to accomplish here today is to absolutely make sure that not only our own residents in Hunters Ridge, but also our neighbors right across the road from Worthington and from the other group down there on the south, I can't think of the name of it right now, but Quail West. They have not, to my knowledge, and I've talked to one or two people, been aware of this. There are many homes in both communities that are the closest to this unit. I don't think they're aware of it. At least they haven't showed up at anything. I don't think they've been told about it. And what I'm asking for here is that they, in full disclosure of what's going on, and full transparency to prevent what could be a lot of lawsuits against the city that I care about, our own community. I suggest that we let people know what it really will look like, a 150-foot tower. And I've been told that a balloon was sent up. I haven't met a single person that I've asked, and I've asked a number of them, who has seen the balloon. No one had seen it that I could run into. But now I'm sure it went up. It may have been taken down very quickly. I suppose if I were selling this thing, I would take it down. In any case, I suggest we put it up for a couple of weeks. Let our neighbors know that we care about their observation. Let them see it. Let us know what you think. If you're okay with it,
Thank you, sir.
then we're okay. Is that it?
Yep.
My
time's up.
3 minutes is up, and I thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any other public comment? All right. Seeing none. turn it over to the applicant.
Good evening, council members. Matanaya John, 935 Main Street, Suite C4, Safety Harbor, Florida 34695. I have taken an oath. I also have Keenan Chinook with T-Mobile with me as well, should you wish to ask any questions of him about T-Mobile's RF need. I don't have any major updates to the presentation other than one that is very cogent to, I'm missing a mouse. Let's see, is this touchable? Yes. It's not working. Perfect. My Starling maps here. All right. This is something called a Starling map. You may have remember that I spoke about it back at our previous meeting, but I did not have one prepared at the time. This is measured signal. I apologize, I'm struggling to go east to west in the Hunters Ridge area. Basically, green is strong and red is not. It's measured on something called negative dBms, which is the way they measure. The magenta or the cayenne marker here is the proposed communication tower, and you can see all around it. It is red. So that is the measured signal strength. I know that problems often don't seem real till they affect us, but you can't argue with the data. As to Quail West, my first community meeting, I had 2 representatives from Quail West at that meeting, and afterwards they thanked me for the presentation that I gave. And I also sent them a copy of my PowerPoint presentation to them. Balloon tests, I would respectfully submit that a 2-week balloon test would be neither feasible nor safe. In the Florida climate, it's difficult to maintain a balloon for even the 4 days that Lee County often requires. So beyond that, we have complied with all of your process requirements. I would respectfully submit that we've shown that this is needed, not just by 1 carrier, but by 2 carriers. And I would respectfully request that you grant approval. I and Mr. Chinook are available for any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I have a question. Will it help the north side of Bonita Beach Road as well? Because it looks pretty red over there.
Yes, ma'am. Obviously, communication towers are all inherently local. So the primary areas that are going to be helped with this will be Hunters Ridge, Quail West, Worthington, but it will reach up there, and it will also help the neighboring towers that are currently struggling to serve this area function better for the people that they're serving. So the tower to the north will function better as well.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? I just had one question that I saw repeatedly in a couple emails, people claiming that it was really close to their house. But I think the number they were using as far as distance was to the property line and not actually to the tower. Do we have the figure of how far the tower is to the closest residence?
Yes, sir, I do. One moment, and I will switch over to my PowerPoint presentation. So we have to the east, the nearest residence is 233 feet. To the west, you're looking at 442 and 572. This is sheet C1.1 from the packet that I showed you last month.
Okay.
So you are far in excess of 100% of tower height in all directions.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, no other questions? Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a
Your pick.
motion by Councilman Corey and a second by Councilwoman Carr. Roll call.
Councilmember Fullick,
Aye.
Mayor Gibson,
Aye.
Councilmember Fitzpatrick,
Aye.
Councilmember Corey.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Purdon. Councilmember Bogas.
Aye.
Councilmember Carr.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. All right, moving on to item 8, consent agenda items.
Motion to approve.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Purdon.
Aye.
Councilmember Fitzpatrick.
Aye.
Councilmember Carr.
Aye.
Councilmember Bogas.
Aye.
Councilmember Fullick.
Aye.
Mayor Gibson.
Aye.
Councilmember Corey.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
I have,
A comment on it?
yeah, this is a first reading, I'm sorry, no, it's the bike,
Okay, so moving on to item 9.
This is the first reading of an ordinance of the City of Bonita Springs, Florida, amending Chapter 40 of the Bonita Springs Code, creating a new Article 5, regulating the operation of electric bicycles, motorcycles, and personal electric-powered devices on streets, sidewalks, and sidewalk areas, providing definitions for the term electric bicycle, motorcycle, micro-mobility device, and off-highway vehicles and motorcycles, prohibiting the operation of electric-powered devices on trails, greenways, greenbelts, and easements in the City of Bonita Springs, providing a penalty for violation of this section, providing for codification and scrivener's errors, providing for conflicts of law, providing for severability, providing for modifications that may arise from consideration at public hearing, and providing for an effective date.
All right.
Thank you. This is just first reading, but I do want to focus on a couple elements. You'll see that this ordinance is primarily dealing with the behavior of the drivers, and consultation with the Sheriff's Association and Lee County Sheriff. It's much easier to go after the behavior of the drivers. That's something that's, you'll see a 15-mile-per-hour speed limit. That's something that any deputy can eyeball, similar as they would in a school zone. I did not put a no pedal zone into this ordinance. If you recall, when we were discussing that was a possibility. I never really got clear direction from the council where you'd want the no pedal zone. And in discussing it even today with the local Bonita Springs Sheriff's Detail, the concern we would have is that it's very difficult to police. Some of these vehicles don't have pedals, that makes it clear, but other ones, they can coast, they can paddle. What about a regular bicycle that they're not pedaling? That's a much more difficult standard than you're speeding, you're going too fast in the presence of pedestrians. That's a much easier way of approaching this. It's also consistent with state law. I did get some questions that I'm going to have some revisions between this draft and the next draft. You see some highlights in there clarifying some vehicles. The off-road vehicles are regulated slightly differently, as well as the e-motorcycles. I may even attach a chart that was provided to me by Lee County Sheriff's Office that shows the different classifications of vehicles. So if you have any additional comments, anything else, I will probably not be bringing this back for second reading this month. It'll probably go in at the beginning of June for the second reading as I make those tweaks.
Okay. Well, and the ones that don't have pedals aren't considered bicycles at all. They're the e-motorcycles. So
No, but those are covered by this ordinance.
yeah, but we're banning them from the sidewalk, or we're limiting their
So
speed.
the restriction will be, they will be banned from sidewalks. One of the areas where I do want to have some further follow-up is on our multi-use trails. As you recall from one of your recent meetings, you are developing a micro-mobility schedule. So we are actually encouraging and going to be charging fees to develop a trail system. So we may have to come up with different rules for trails versus sidewalks versus bike lanes. And so there should be some distinguishing between the different vehicles on that type.
Okay. Nigel? Yeah.
Derek, welcome back. It's nice to be able to abuse you in person. Two questions I have are, we've got sidewalks and sidewalk areas in the first part. Then when we get down to the actual prohibitions, the operation of electric-powered devices on trails, greenways, greenbelts, and easements, why aren't sidewalks included in that?
Right.
Sounds like an oversight. I will get to that.
My work here is done. Thank you, Derek.
So you're including sidewalks? Is the
Yes.
Yeah, I was wondering.
Jim?
Bear with me, I have a variety of questions on this topic. After coming back from a week and a half in Hilton Head and seeing the variety of limited e-bikes in that area, it prompted me to look at a variety of regulations sitting out there as we confront this issue. The first and primary question that I've got is that would this ordinance prohibit an HOA or community from banning e-bikes?
No,
So they're free to limit the use of e-bikes within their developments?
within their easements, yes.
Okay. Thank you. You've answered the question on pedal-only zones. That's basically the fact that we can't really enforce it. A couple other general expectations in terms of behaviors is where there is group riding, a clear indication that they need to ride in single file and not ride 2 or 3 across. Clearly stating that they are considered vehicles and must obey all traffic signals, because they don't in a lot of cases. In looking at some of the other laws, both in and outside of the state, there is clear reference to limiting the classification of e-bikes to Class 1 and Class 2. And we have 3 classes. Should we limit only to Class 1 and Class 2 in Bonita Springs? Clarificate.
The difference there is Class 2 allows up to 20 miles an hour, Class 3 allows
20, up to 28 miles an hour on Class, that's on Class 3?
Class 3 is
So
23.
the key distinguishing, I've drafted a couple of these ordinances over the years, since originally there was only Class 1 bike vehicles, and if you were to pull up any of the definitions that either the state has or we have in our definitions, and then check those against actual e-bikes that are sold, you'll find that their classifications don't line up. So this reminds me of the old Harley Davidson days when the Japanese bikes would come in at 750 just so they could get under the rules and restrictions that the Harleys had. So you're chasing your tail and you're chasing the manufacturers. So that's why the restriction is based on the speed. That way, no matter what classification it is, they're limited to certain speed limits.
Can you clarify why 15 miles an hour on sidewalks versus the state regulation of 2026 of 10 miles per hour, at least when I do in my little search?
15 came up because that is the easiest for police enforcement. They're used to regulating vehicles at 15 miles per hour. 10 is slightly lower. We could have it go lower if that would be preserved, but it might require someone to have.
And the rumor is the state's looking at 10 miles an hour. But whatever it comes in at, we don't know yet, but
So
that's what I've
that
heard.
law has not been passed by the state then?
Not yet, no.
Okay. Couple of research on other municipalities. In Sanibel, there's a total ban on multi-use paths. In the city of Palm Coast, all e-bike riders must carry government-issued IDs. And in the Palm Beach, basically, they're banned on all sidewalks, multi-use trails, and their lake trail. So I guess we have a variety of things with the upcoming Rails to Trail project. We have a tight sidewalks downtown, and also I'm just concerned about the overall safety of these riders, and if anything we can do to make it as tight as possible to enforce those behaviors would be greatly appreciated. So.
Is there any of those? So I looked at the Palm Coast one early on. They were one of the first in the state. We would be preempted. The licensing requirement, we would not be able to enforce that. But restricting particular multi-use paths, or even ones that are under a certain size, like in the city of Sanibel, their multi-use paths are sometimes double wide and sometimes they're single wide. So we could come up with different classifications. And in the regulation currently, it does have an exception for where otherwise posted. So a lot of this can be done through, site-by-site location.
I don't know if it would make sense to maybe just take a half-hour workshop or whatever, just go explore some of these a little bit more in depth before we go to the second reading. So, but for now, those are my primary comments.
The only thing I would caution about not allowing them on the sidewalks at all is there, a lot of people don't feel comfortable with riding in the road. And if we're limiting them to the 15 miles an hour, that's roughly the speed that somebody can pedal a bicycle. So, but there are more and more people buying e-bikes, even a lot that are just pedal assist only, which are the class 1 that can only do 20 miles an hour. So we would be limiting them to the 15 also. But I think as long as they're behaving themselves and riding safely on the sidewalks, it should be allowed. Because there's just quite a few roads that I wouldn't want to be out in the road, whether it's an e-bike or a regular bike. I'd much rather be on the sidewalk myself. So just something to look at. Laura?
In Florida, we walk against traffic and we cycle with traffic. But on sidewalks with these things, they don't say. And I walk here to City Hall a lot, and there is now a natural path parallel to the sidewalk. I don't know if you've noticed it, that has been made by people walking because you don't hear the bikes coming up and they can be dangerous if they hit you. Because I listen to music and then, sometimes you break out into a move and then you don't know there's somebody behind you. So can we say when you're walking on a sidewalk, bikes stay left, walkers stay right, or vice versa, whatever, but some instruction like that?
There is a provision in here for yielding to pedestrians and displaying an audible signal similar to bicycles, so that's already part of this regulation.
Yeah, but they're behind you.
Right, and they would have
And
to.
they don't know what I'm gonna do or you're gonna do.
That's why their intention is to signal.
Yeah, so before passing you, they would have to ring a bell or, yell to you, I'm passing on your left, that sort of thing. But it should be just like driving a car, walking on the right side, riding on the right side. If you're passing somebody, you go around them if you're able to.
Right.
So.
Okay, I'm just saying.
Nigel?
Thanks, Mike. I'm going to call on your expertise. Please tell me if I'm wrong. But my understanding is that some of these larger e-bikes actually have governors on them to keep them from going more than 28 miles an hour, but that they're easily removed. Could we include something, Derek, easily enough that would say that they alter governors or remove them?
So
I'm sure the sheriff's department's going to love me for this one, but enforcing it's going to be tough. But if somebody's flying along, I paced a couple this weekend, 35, 36 miles an hour.
Yeah, and unfortunately, an unenforceable ordinance is exactly that. It's unlikely that unless they're pulled over for violating the speed, that anyone's going to be able to check the vehicle.
But that's what I mean. If they are caught doing 35, 40 miles an hour in one of these bikes, and it has been altered, Carmine can sell them at the next auction.
I think that's going to be very difficult because you're talking about in each type of vehicle, how do you know which one is modified and which way, which manufacturer? The modifications may be put on there for parental safety, but they're not necessarily inconsistent with law. The speed limit is the law issue, and you're already violating them for that. My thought on this is that right now, the way the ordinance is written, and why I think it's consistent with the law that was considered this last session, is that you have a statutory, it applies 50 miles per hour or the statutory speed limit for the roadway or sidewalk. So if the state adopts 10 miles per hour, it automatically becomes 10 miles per hour. So, it's built to deal with these problems on the basis of changing regulations. Otherwise, we're going to be doing exactly that. Now, the part that we are going to have to do from the perspective of e-bike usage in total is going to be classification of different roadways. So we might have sidewalks that are 5-foot wide sidewalks. That's going to be very difficult for any vehicle to travel on. Even bicycles are difficult to travel on that. But when we get to whether it's rail to trail or multi-use trails, I think that's where the city's going to have to develop actual policies and post for those issues so that you have designated lanes or you have something else to accommodate.
Well, at this point, we're being proactive, aren't we?
Yes.
Thanks, Mike.
Chris?
Yeah, I'm still troubled with the 15 miles an hour, as is Jim. one of the things I remember, for those of you that are old enough to have had driver's education training back in high school, was that when you go 60 miles an hour, it's 88 feet per second. So you do the math, and at 15 miles an hour, you do 22 feet per second. Now, I'm guessing, but somewhere between my seat and that door is 40. Okay, and so a bicycle at 15 is going to get to that door in a little under 2 seconds. And for a lot of our residents and people that live in Bonita Springs, walking that way, and a bicycle coming behind them, it's a problem. A lot of people have hearing problems. And if that bicycle can get to that door in about 1.8 seconds, you know, I just think there's a lot of danger in doing that. Bonita Bay, and I hate to use Bonita Bay, but Bonita Bay has implemented an 8-mile-an-hour speed limit on our pathways. 8 miles an hour would be half of 22, or it's 11 feet per second. So if you think about a bicycle on a sidewalk downtown, and 11 feet per second, it's a better situation than 22. So I would encourage us to try to reduce the speed from 15 down to at least 10. Hope, better solution might be 8, but understand how quick that bicycle is moving at 15. It's 22 feet per second. The rider's got to react. Remember, reach for his bell or whatever he's got to honk or make the pedestrian aware, and that takes time in and of itself. Let's say it takes a second to say, oh, I better reach for my bell. Well, there's 22 feet gone already, so that's my concern.
Well, and I would hope that they would slow down as they're approaching a pedestrian before they ring the bell and go around them, because even if they're doing 15 or 10 miles an hour, it's kind of fast to be passing somebody that's not expecting it.
So we can do two tweaks we could do. We could either go to 10 miles per hour across the board, or we could keep it at 15 and then put unless otherwise posted. So this would allow you to restrict certain areas of the city more. And then the additional thing we could add is we could add in the yielding to the right of way that the speed has to be less than 5 miles per hour or something to that.
I could live with that.
When passing a pedestrian 5 miles an hour.
Yeah, I mean,
And I'd probably recommend at this point just unless otherwise posted anyway. That way, if they have a special condition, some roadway that's particular difficult, we can post a different speed limit.
So our next biggest challenge is going to be educating our residents. I see that as the biggest problem we're going to have.
Yep.
Jim?
Just to clarify, the pedestrian right-of-way to cyclists, they have to yield to pedestrians. So if it was observed that, for lack of hearing or whatever, that a pedestrian doesn't get out of the way, that it would be expected behavior that the e-bike rider or electric vehicle user would have to stop and walk around or wait until they clear. Because downtown walking two across, down the street, and to Laura's point, is that you got these jockeys that are flying down on either the electric scooters or the bikes, and I think they feel that there's a basic priority. So my question is, if they violate or that pedestrian right of way, would that be observed?
That would have to be observed by a deputy. When it could be observed by a deputy.
Okay.
What I wouldn't be able to say is if they heard it or didn't hear it. I mean, that's something I don't think the deputy could observe.
That's right. It's.
And on the yielding, what would a 5 mile per hour or 8 mile per hour? Is there a specific?
Whether it's 5, 8, or 10, whatever is agreed upon, the real question is that where you have narrow sidewalks and you have couples or groups of kids or stuff like that riding down there, if the pedestrian, no different than a roundabout, is that if there's somebody in the roundabout, you stop and you wait until the traffic has cleared, no different with a pedestrian, or until they hear you, or whatever. I mean, the obligation is on the e-bike user to yield to that pedestrian.
Yes.
I guess that's all I'm saying. So whether it's 5, 8, or 10, I don't care. The point is, if they're there, there's not the right of the e-bike rider to pass them at any of those speeds if they're not yielded to.
Okay. I'm just trying to, you gotta talk to them. You gotta-
No, I'm done, just,
I'm
I'm-
trying-
Yeah, I mean,
I need
speed-wise,
guidance
I
from
don't
all of you
know.
now.
It's more of like a safe, kind of like a safe passing speed. I use the Segway every day to pick up my lunch, so I'm always on the sidewalks on Old 41. And many times I'll come up behind people that are walking 2 abreast or sometimes 3 abreast, and I'll ring the bell, and I slow down to their speed until, and they're usually nice about it. They'll move over, and I'll slowly go around them, and once I've kind of passed them by a decent distance, I speed back up. Segways only do about 12 miles an hour, so it's not like I'm flying down the sidewalk, but still, I slow down for anybody walking. Even if they're coming towards me, I'll slow down as I pass them and then speed back up. So I don't really know a good speed, and I think it would be hard for even the deputies to, unless they have a radar gun on them, as they're passing somebody, is it 5 miles an hour, 8 miles an hour? But you can easily eyeball it and say, yeah, they slowed down and they carefully went around the person, or they flew around the person, would be the difference. What the speed is, I don't know, but you can tell which is safe and what isn't.
I have more of a concern of behavior
Yeah.
versus the speed, and that you, in your years of education and in your business, follow the rules of the road. I wish I saw that every day to the fellow users of electric vehicles, but it's an issue, education, that quite honestly, I don't know how the heck we're going to handle.
Well, yeah, unfortunately, it's up to the deputies to be able to do that and kind of educate everybody and not get them all pissed off at them, mainly when it's us implementing it. So, Nigel, did you have something quick?
I've got a question for you, Derek. You mentioned the state's still working on this. Do you have an idea when you think they might be completed in presenting this?
They may have passed a bill, but I haven't seen anything that's been signed by the governor. So, there's a lot of bills that were passed in this last session that I don't treat as real until they're actually, I saw the bill early on when working on the draft. I don't treat them as real until the governor signs them or they pass his veto period. It hasn't happened yet and wouldn't go into effect until July.
Would probably help a lot if we paralleled what the state comes up with.
Jesse?
Along the same lines of what Nigel just said, it would probably be helpful if we knew what the state was going to do, so we parallel what they're going to do. And I don't want to, be a wet blanket, but I mean the reality that we have to face is this is unenforceable. So I mean it's great. We can all feel good about addressing this issue, but the reality is it's not enforceable. There's not a mechanism. We don't have the manpower to do it. I mean it's great. Maybe it will help. I'm hopeful it will, but I don't know. I don't know if we sell this as the big win that we're all under the idea that it is right now.
Well, I mean, I kind of equate it to speeders on the road. We know there's tons of them out there. They don't always get caught because you have to have a deputy nearby to see it. So I think it'll be the same thing with the bikes. There may still be a lot of issues out there, but when there is a deputy around and sees something, they have the mechanism to stop the person, cite the person, and hopefully when that happens enough, it starts to change behaviors.
One thing we should consider in the budgetary process, potentially at the end of the year, is if this passes today, getting them a couple more bikes might be something we want to think about doing. It's something we talked about a while back. Then I think we just decided to pass the budget as is. But I mean, if this is going to hope to be something that's actually efficient and actually makes any distant or any type of change, then we're going to have to, get more guys on bikes. So I don't know. I don't know if it's the best.
Discussions on downtown commercial traffic, we passed that, and I heard from several people they'll never be able to enforce it. Well, our sheriff's department did a really good job, And for about 3 or 4 months, they quietly started pulling people over and they started writing tickets. If you look at downtown now, fewer commercial vehicles downtown. I think if we pass it and they give us the opportunity, or we give them the opportunity to get out there for a few months, write a few tickets, slow some people down.
Yeah, I would say that the placement of a LCSO car at the recreational vehicle site north of North 41, Old 41, north of Buffalo Chips. On the right, there's always a car there. It seems to have done a good job of knocking the traffic speed down on Old 41 down to 35 miles an hour, which is what the speed limit is. So I don't know how many tickets they've written, but it's been a lot. So it'll work.
Arlene, you had a comment?
Yes, Commander Benor could not be here this evening, but he plans on being here when we discuss it further, and we have been in communication with him as well as Lieutenant Tarcia, and they have indicated to staff and to the city attorney that they do have mechanisms of enforcing this. It's mostly on the behavior of the driver of the e-bike or bicycle. And so that they have reviewed this draft. They actually provided some recommendations today in our meeting, which Derek is looking into a little bit further. But I know the commander would be willing to be here to answer any questions about that as well at the next meeting.
Be good.
Jamie?
I mean, it pretty much was all said at this point, but I agree that trying to make it 5, 8, 10, it's going to be hard to, while passing would be difficult, but I think you just have to go over the behavior and the sheriff's take it at that point. And then everybody else has said everything, so.
Laura?
Well, Derek began or summarized it by saying the real key is the behavior of the cyclist, which Arlene also articulated. So that's going to be education and, do you speed or you don't speed? And, I know in my community, we just put up these signs that tell you how fast you're going. So maybe we could do a couple on sidewalks and solar, so that they know that, oh my gosh, I didn't know I was going 25 miles an hour. And I don't know, but I'll look forward to hearing from the commander.
All right. So Derek, you said we're going to bring this back, not next meeting, but probably
Yeah, because I think
meetings.
we're going to have more tweaks and changes between now, so probably in June.
And will I be okay to vote on it? Because I might make a windfall profit selling
Oh,
bells.
yeah.
So
You're the guy.
Selling governors?
no, the bells.
Oh, bells.
Because they got to give an audible warning.
That's good, Mike.
Yeah, I don't think it's good. One thing I will point out that when I was doing the research on the speed, the Florida law has long allowed local governments to restrict bicycles on sidewalks. And in all that time, no one's been able to come up with a speed limit for passing. So I will look at maybe adding some language in the yielding that says, reasonably slow enough speed to pass something that, could be a little subjective but enforceable by the sheriff's deputies.
You raise a good question in terms of limiting bicycles. If there are safe passing lanes or multi-use lanes for e-bikes and that type of stuff, can we prohibit them from sidewalks then?
You could do that if you did signage.
More signs.
But as Mike pointed out, there are certain roads you don't want to be on. I picked up a bike from Mike's shop, and I left the tag on because I was riding on Old 41, and I figured I'd be so mangled that at least they could identify me with the tag. And now there's sidewalks and part of it, but it's tricky. And, you get potholes, and so let's see where we go. But I don't think you can, because there's not space on the roads everywhere for people to safely bike. There's not bike lanes everywhere. We are, as we renovate and build new, we're making wider sidewalks and putting in better stormwater treatments in as well, but we're making it safer for folks to be on the sidewalk together. Because there is a large population that rely on their bikes.
This is their transportation to and from work.
Right.
And I would say that I love to give Matt work when he's gone. And I'm hopeful he'll hear
Well,
this.
he's not
But
feeling well.
you just approved Dr. Banyan to look at, a mobility fee. And when we develop that mobility fee, the intention of that is to fund things like multi-use trails. And so we will develop a plan for what kind of trails. And I think at that time, maybe it's a good idea because we'll be categorizing these trails and sidewalks throughout the city to maybe come up with speed limits and specific rules at that time, because you'll be looking at the functional classification of all of them at some time.
Great.
Sounds good. Any other items, Derek?
No, that's it.
All right.
Should we hear
moving
from
on
the
to
public?
city manager items.
Should we hear from
Thank
the
you.
public or call?
Oh.
Just
Oh, yeah, I guess it is first reading. Any public comment on bikes, e-bike regulations? Come forward.
Ron George, Little Hickory Island. It's not just e-bikes. I think downtown in particular, there's a lot of young residents, and they'll go right across the cross streets, et cetera, without stopping, et cetera. So, obviously introducing e-bikes just enhances the danger, but I think it would be a good idea if we tried to maybe focus on enforcement of some of the normal traffic rules for bikes. Because if they're coming down a sidewalk and there's cars parked, you're not going to see them when they cross that side street. And they don't stop. They go, right? They're on a bike. They don't have to obey rules according to their philosophies. So I think it would be important, because I've had at least 2 close calls, especially like at night and stuff, downtown. It's really dangerous, I think. So thanks, that's all I had.
Thank you, Ron.
Hi, Rachel Brown here. I totally agree with Laura about the speed, telling you what speed you're going. I think that would be a must if we're going to do that, in this, including also signs telling you the speed limit on the sidewalk and for whatever instrument of mobility you're using. Also, I wanted to say that if we're using 15 because that's what the minimum speed police are used to enforcing and logistically can enforce, then I don't see how we go lower than that, because if the police is going to ticket, stop, and ID or question people, they should have evidence along with why they're doing that. I'm not against police using bikes, but in general, I do strongly believe that they will be the ones who will be speeding and quickly passing pedestrians. Also, this is kind of related, the intersection of Bonita and Imperial. Cars do not pay attention to the crosswalk there. I almost got killed there. Bikes and walkers push the crosswalk, they get the light, and then, cars just go. Because I think they get a green light when there's a walkway for us. Or actually, they don't, but they don't respect the crosswalk. So this is related. Bonita Beach Road, if there's some kind of traffic calming transition from the big 40-mile-an-hour road to town, perhaps speed bumps or shiny paint on the pavement when you're turning into town, would be a good idea. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is James Anders. I'm a downtown resident. I'm very happy to see the city moving forward with some proactive rules on e-bikes. They're a big problem. Everyone in downtown knows it. One thing I would like to add is I agree that if we were going to spring this on the public, we probably should put some signage up. I don't know, I'm sure this isn't controversial to say, but public engagement with city government is fairly low. So maybe something should be done to inform the public. If not signage that has your active speed, maybe something similar at bus stops or other public areas. I think we'd have a lot more speeding tickets if there were no signs telling us the speed limit. But anyway, that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other public comment on this item? All right.
Oh, wait.
Ben? You just made it, Ben.
I can't resist. Ben Hershenson, Avonlea Drive. I was quite excited when I saw this on the agenda. And then you get down to the whole issue of speed. I think a pedestrian walks maybe, 2.5, 3 miles an hour at best, I would think, especially somebody my age. And when you're on the sidewalk and someone's going 8, 10 miles an hour, I'll yield to Councilor Corey as an accountant to calculate how fast a bike will catch up to a human. You can't possibly outwalk it. It's just not way it happens. As to enforcement, anybody who's been involved, especially living in an HOA, is very, very difficult. And it's going to be difficult for police as well. But the city has to protect itself, and if you have some sort of a law that's enforceable, you choose not to obey it, well, or somebody gets injured, at least the city can back up and say, we've had this rule here. You broke it, and the accident occurred. You get the whole question of liability. Who's really responsible? The biker will say, well, this older person was walking too slow, and the person who's the pedestrian says, I didn't hear or see anything. But without a law, how do you enforce it? So I think the issue of enforcement is not as strong as the common sense of at least post something in both Spanish and English so that people understand that you don't go quickly on a sidewalk or even a street, and you have to, I always was taught, you abide by current traffic laws, period. It doesn't mean you have any preference over anybody else. So eventually we'll get to the point where this is going to be voted upon. I strongly support a law that does set rules and regulations for e-bikes. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? All right. Nigel, you had a comment?
Yeah, Derek, I have a question for you. In order, whatever. When we have public comment, and this doesn't apply to anyone here this evening, but if we knew that someone is going to come up for public comment, and this is for the people here, people listening on TV, we're as council not allowed to say anything. We can't interrupt them. They can say whatever they want. But if we know that somebody's going to come up and represent themselves as being part of an organization or an Austrian that doesn't exist per se, could we do anything proactively to comment on that before or after?
So you can always comment, and you have your right to speak on any matter after they've spoken. What I would say is restrictions on public comment, with the exception of quasi-judicial hearings or anything that causes violation of the rules of decorum, you just let people go. If someone wanted to come up and do a 3-minute advertisement for razors, they can go ahead and do that but if you're doing a quasi-judicial hearing, you could probably have tighter restrictions, especially on people who are representing groups or alleging to represent groups, because there are standing requirements for different types of challenges. And so if someone's saying, I represent Greenpeace, and they do not in fact represent Greenpeace, you may be able to throw out their testimony. So there would be rules and regulations to that.
Well, let's say somebody came in and said they represented the Lee County.
Yeah.
Make sure I say it correctly, Lee County Taxpayers Association. But then you find out that organization it actually did exist until 1974. Doesn't exist. There is no such entity. But if they come up and say attack someone like our mayor and make comments that it sounds like it's coming from the taxpayers, but in reality it's coming from one person. And our mayor's a big boy, he can protect himself. It still bothers the hell out of me that somebody could come up and make comments like that, and then I hear from people, is that true? We know it's not, but how do we call somebody other than at the end of the meeting when nobody's here, we can say something?
You're free to call someone out on items like that. I mean, if they're,
So the preliminary public comment, as soon as that's over, we can call them out?
you would just ask the mayor or whoever's presiding over to set aside the rules and say, I'd like to make a comment out of order.
Yeah, and I would prefer that we never interrupt them during their 3 minutes.
No, I understand that we can't do that, but
And I would also prefer that we waited till the end of public comment, and just not to, break anything up. Let the public get, their words in. It's their time, so.
Yeah, in your open public comment, it's a public forum. People are free to lie, they're free to misrepresent, they're free to do a lot of things. That doesn't mean it doesn't make them liable for things, it doesn't mean it doesn't cause, couldn't have ramifications, but as far as a public body, I would go ahead and let them speak, unless that speech is disruptive or violate your rules of decorum or the rules of the facility.
thanks, Derek.
Thank you. All right, moving on to city manager items.
Thank you. At this time, we have the presentation from Community Development on activity report.
Good evening, council. I am here for your monthly dose of adrenaline. You have in your packet a monthly and a quarterly report. I'm just going to go over the monthly report, just kind of go through a few things real quick. We're coming out of season, as you all know, and we are seeing a lot of what we typically see, a lot of the last minute before we go home, get our AC tuned up, shutters installed, those type of permits coming in. We're still seeing a relatively high level of engineering applications and some zoning applications as well. At this point, things are going along as they normally do. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Good report, John.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, we're not voting on anything.
With that, thank you all very much.
Thank you, John.
Thank you. I just have a couple of other quick announcements. You have received an email from our lobbyist, and we wanted to make sure everyone was aware that the Florida legislature will be back in session on Tuesday, May 12th, to review the budget. At this time, we have 4 projects that are still in the appropriations bucket or staying alive process. Some of them are funded within the House, one in the Senate. The hope is that both the House and Senate continue to contain those or have companion bills for those appropriations. Also, the dollar amount is a placeholder at this time, so it's a little bit lower than the amount that we had requested. So the lobbyist has indicated that, this is a good time to reach out to our delegation and remind them about those projects. As a reminder, it's the Bonita Springs Community Aquatic Facility, the Bonita Springs Paradise Road Bike Pedestrian Improvement Project, the Bonita Beach Road Landscaping Design Project, and the Bonita Beach Imperial Parkway Gateway Aesthetic Improvement Project. And those are currently still in the process of the possibility of funding. Additionally, today, staff received a letter from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, and we have been notified that we will be receiving a grant agreement through HUD in the amount of $2 million for the Rosemary Drive Stormwater Drainage and Pedestrian Safety Project. And so the bill was signed by the president, and we'll be moving forward with funding agreements for that project.
Nice.
And the last item, I just wanted to get a little bit of direction from council on. Yesterday, there was a planning and zoning board meeting. At the meeting, there was applications that were initiated by staff at the direction of council. The board did decide to decline the approval of the demolition of the Good Bread grocery structure, and so we would like some direction on next steps from council on that, which may include directing an appeal process if that's the desire of council.
Chris?
I recommend the appeal process, that we go ahead and appeal that decision up to council for consideration, and so we can take final action on this.
Jesse?
So this may not be the popular thing, but we've been trying to knock this building down for 6 years, and we have yet to succeed. And now we're in a position where we're saying, let's appeal it to ourselves So essentially, we're going to come back and say, self, do you still think it should come down in 2 weeks? Like, it just seems like unnecessary bureaucratic crap, because we are the own it. We are going to ask ourselves if we can do it in 2 weeks. So what are we even doing? Like, if we already know the answer is, why don't we just, we've already said what we wanted to happen. And then they said, well, are you guys sure you don't want to take an extra look at it? We already took 5 looks at it. That's how it got to you to begin with. I appreciate you being, extra sensitive to that, but we sent it to you for a reason. We wanted you to do what we asked you to do. You didn't. So now I don't think we should procedurally have to go through this exercise of coming back to ourselves in a couple weeks. If there is an administrative way to move on it, I just say we do it, because this is, just from looking at it from the outside and taking all the minutia out of it, if somebody said the city council has taken 6 years to take this building down, what would we say about the efficiency of us as a council? We've already said what we wanted to do. We've workbooked this. We beat this horse to death. I say we finally kill the horse tonight.
If I may, and I agree with you. One of the problems, or one of the mistakes I think we're making and other people are making, we keep calling it the Good Bread Building. I have people saying, you guys are going to knock down the Good Bread Building, or you're knock down the Dixie Moon Cafe. I don't think people realize there is no building.
No.
There is no cafe.
No.
It's a portion of a wall that's crumbling inside a plywood structure, and half the people commenting this have no idea that the Good Bread Building in Dixie Moon's been gone for 15 years. So
There's no historical value attached to it. We killed that historical value when we moved it. So literally, it's just sitting there, and it has there's no historical protections. There's no functional use for it. It has become an eyesore, and it's just one of those things. It's been circling and circling. Let's just land the plane.
Well, I'll ask the city attorney, do we actually have to go through the appeal mechanism, or can we just vote tonight?
So, it's ridiculous. I mean, because I'm not going to pretend that it's not. All that's really required is, an order of a governmental body or a board, which could be you. So you've given an order to have it demolished, and it goes through the approval of the application for certificate of appropriateness. So essentially, by asking for an appeal, you're just sending yourself back the application to sign off on it. If we just want to move forward with demolition, I think we could do that. What I would probably say is just I'll put it on as a consent item in the next agenda.
Is what?
Is put it on as a consent item on the next agenda. It's not really an appeal. I mean, that's to the point that Councilman Purdon's making. What is the standards you've already established? You're the ones who made the application. You've already met all those standards for yourselves. You're just going to review it again.
Seeing as Arlene was at the meeting, Arlene, I know they refer to it as the Good Bread Building and as the Dixie Moon Cafe. Has anybody building and zoning been out and actually seen what's left of the structure?
No, I was not at the building. I know John Dolmer and Mike Fegon was at the zoning board meeting. There was questions asked as to, is there any other last possibility of utilizing the structure? That's what I understand the thought was behind their questions.
It was presented to the board that the structure itself was mainly consisting of additional supports that kept it standing. I don't think there was any suggestions to use the interior of the building. It was always, can the exterior be saved in some sort of a display? So I don't believe, from my perspective, there was a misunderstanding as to the condition, especially of the interior. It was presented the condition of the exterior and how several portions of the facade had to be replaced recently because they were deteriorating and falling apart. So other than that, it was presented the way historical projects are, with a packet of information, brief discussion, and questions back and forth with the board and the planner.
John, being as where it's at, can it be used for anything without being flood-proofed,
Yes, sir.
raised, or, you know, like even if we wanted to use it as storage, what would we have to do at a minimum to?
Currently, right now, it is in a flood zone. It would have to be raised. It would have to be, if it stays there, it would have to be flood-proofed. Any interior use would have to involve significant reconstruction to the structure itself. Right now, it was braced so it could survive the move from Dean Street to its current location. And that bracing was not done in a manner that would be consistent with any type of occupancy, storage, or otherwise.
I've been inside, so I know what it looks like inside. It's
How much square footage is left, John?
I don't know, maybe 2 of these podiums?
Chris?
Well, if we put it on the consent agenda, I would say, let's put it on the consent agenda, but direct staff over the intervening period between now and the next council meeting to make appropriate plans and whatever for the demolition. So that when we vote as part of the consent agenda, the next day or shortly thereafter, we can get the thing accomplished.
Turnkey operation. Okay. Honestly, I hate to push it, but I understand, you know, if this is the best way, fine, but next meeting.
It'll probably take 2 weeks to plan the demolition anyway.
So next meeting it is.
All right, anything else?
No.
All right, mayor and council member reports. Jim?
Thank you. Let me go find my little comments here.
All right, time's up, Jim. No, I don't. Sure. Yeah.
You want to go first?
Just kidding.
Now, there's two real, we'll take the lighter side first. The annual memorial service that's hosted over at the Bonita Springs Cemetery that's in the past been hosted by Daughters of American Revolution and also the Boy Scout troops will take place this year. It will be actually coordinated by the Scouting Troops 109 and 901. And they will continue the tradition of the placement of American flags at the Bonita Springs Cemetery at 9 o'clock Sunday, May 24th. Following the placement of the flags, there will be a brief ceremony to honor those who have made the ultimate sacrifice to our country, and also to recognize, so if you would like, and I would encourage that any of my fellow council members come in and stop by for the half hour, 45 minutes, assist the boys and girls from Scouting America to place the flags and participate in the brief ceremony. I would appreciate that. While you're there, I would ask that you recognize the commitments of both Troops 109 and 901 because they have continued to work to clean up and maintain this cemetery where there's over 140 buried veterans there. And I'd also like to, if you're there, and the ladies from the Palm Lake RV Resort, they also have been a key part of maintaining and updating that well, keeping it in decent order. They have also done that out of their good hearts and time. So I encourage the community to get out there and join the Scouts in the placement of the flags and their brief ceremony. We should be out of there by 9:45, and that would be greatly appreciated. Second thing is, just to clean up my little liaison with the Historic Preservation Board. Going back a few months ago, I was approached by Jackie James, the former board member and president of the Bonita Springs Historical Society, regarding the possible relocation options within downtown for their historic McSwain House. This request was based upon initial commercial, the initiated commercial construction to the immediate south, and the ongoing concern about their ability to effectively carry on their mission. I advised council that I was contacted, and you gave me the responsibility to follow up on finding out exactly what they were looking for. We did that on April 21st. Arlene, Nicole, Myself and several members of the Historical Society's board attended the meeting here at City Hall. The Society is looking for potential options to relocate the McSwain House within downtown or its immediate proximity. There was no commitment of funding for possible relocation, nor sites for relocation. The board was advised, the Historical Society was advised that as soon as the city has been advised of the city's park master plan, which would be approximately June, that any further discussion would have to take place after that point in time. And that to discuss any potential options. Based upon this information, the location of the McSwain House downtown and the deferral of any near-term follow-up to the meeting, I'd like to be released from my responsibility in terms of the ongoing dialogue, and I would strongly suggest and wish that, Mayor, if you could go ahead and handle those discussions going forward, I would appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Jesse, you had a comment on that?
Yeah, just a question. Are they interested in selling the house?
That was not discussed. I mean, they basically are looking to relocate the house and remain a viable an operation.
So the entity that's fighting the downtown tooth and nail every day is asking the city to move the house for them?
No one, there was no ask for relocation or the funding for that.
I guess I misunderstood the ask then, I'm sorry.
If there were a spot, and then the first meeting was, and as I advised before, they wanted to look at going over to Depot Park. The structure of a ground lease or whatever and so forth, never discussed, no details other than saying that that was a consideration. Prepping this meeting, essentially, floodplain, no can do. Not a valid option to go ahead and place that. So the discussions relative to location, funding, other than wanting to discuss possible options after the city's park master plan's done and adopted, that they'd like to continue their discussions.
I would like to ask the mayor in your discussions to ask them if they're open to selling.
Yeah, I can ask them. I don't know what their thoughts will be on that. I
like
did speak with one of the board members about a week and a half ago now, and I believe it was after that meeting that Jim's referencing, and that they no longer are looking to put it on city property. What I understood at that time was that they're looking for another property on their own and would move it and then sell that property in order to pay for everything. That's just what I briefly heard about a week and a half ago, but I'd be happy to take over.
That'd be great, because like I said, there's a variety of things thrown against the wall, and really until we fully look at what we're going to do with our park system, it really didn't make sense to continue discussions at this point in time.
Nigel, you had a comment on that?
They have a board member who's fairly reasonable most of the time. He's an attorney, so, but we had a discussion, and I think he understands now that city property is not viable. But they have a valuable piece of property downtown that they could sell. And the discussion was looking where the city will be 5, 6, 7 years from now, where Old 41 north of West Terry Street is something that we're looking to improve. And there's land available there. They're looking for the ability to have more parking. So he thought and was going to bring it back to their board, and hopefully when you meet with them, that would be sensible. They could sell the property they have now. It would pay for the move and probably a good portion of a piece of land north of West Terry Street on Old 41.
Jim, were you done?
I'm done. It's all
Thanks.
yours.
All right, Nigel?
Just two things. One is obviously Memorial Day, May 25th, 9 o'clock. This year, again, it's going to be at the Lyles Plaza, the Hotel Plaza, because our park is under reconstruction by Nicole and her team. Second thing, this is personal. Most of you here know the name Jay Arend. He was our second mayor. He's one of the founders of our city. And I've had the opportunity every 2-3 months. I take Jay to breakfast. I pick him up at the nursing home. We go to breakfast at Dolly's. He's treated like a king for 45 minutes, and I take him back. Our city manager was good enough a couple of weeks ago to accompany me along with some of our other longtime residents, and just a really wonderful morning. And he was in a good mood, so I asked him if he'd like to take a little drive before I took him back to the nursing home. And he said, "Where do you want to go?" And I said, "Let's go downtown." Guys, he was one of the people that helped set the whole plan in place. I swear I saw 20 years melt off him. He was so proud. He said, "I didn't think after the hurricanes, I never thought I'd live to see this." The words he used were, "It's beautiful. This is amazing. You guys are doing a great job," meaning staff as well. And he said, "Next time we go to breakfast, can we come back down and see more?" So one of the people that had the vision, that saw what this was all about, was so touched by what he sees. So all the critics are out there. A lot of them have lived here a lot less than 10 years, but we are doing a good job. And in the eyes of someone that we all respect, that's the way it's seen. That's all I got, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Chris?
I want to express gratitude of the board of the Wonder Gardens for the decision yesterday to take down the restaurant. That's going to provide better access for the ultimate building of the animal care facility behind the old restaurant. And they're very grateful for that decision, and look forward to the demolition of a building that's totally worthless from a standpoint of being able to be used. There's so many problems with that building that we've known about for several years, and finally we're getting that situation resolved. It was brought to my attention that there are people out on Bonita Beach Road, Hickory, the BBI, that have questions about Bert and the bond issue and so forth. And I'd like to reach out to them, and if they're listening, Marty Roach in particular, if they would like for some of us to meet with them to discuss the project, answer their questions, we're more than willing to do that. I'm going to reach out to Deb Orton of Friends of Bert, and reach out to Marty and see if we can set up a meeting. So that's all I got.
Sounds good. Thanks, Chris. Laura?
No, I'm good.
Jesse?
No, actually, one thing I just wanted to say thoughts and prayers to Amy Crumba in this time. Her husband Jim passed. Jim was a great guy, really good guy, and Amy's really strong part of the history of Bonita Springs. So, knowing that she's going through that, I just wanted to mention that and let her know that our thoughts and prayers are with her. That's it.
Just a real quick note too, Arlene and I had a meeting with Lee County staff and our commissioner regarding the beach pass parking for full-time residents. And the meeting seemed to go very well, and I'm hoping to bring back more information, hopefully an interlocal agreement at our next meeting.
Thank you. I just wanted to mention that I believe on Monday the 11th, the fire department's doing a Phoenix Award ceremony at 5 p.m. That's when they honor the people that had a chance to bring somebody back to life. So I should be in attendance there, and just wanted to let everybody know in case you wanted to come too. But yeah, it's always at the Bonita Grand Fire Station. And also, I'd like to wish Amy Caramba well as she grieves her loss. It's he was a great guy, and he'll be missed. And I think that's all I have. We will move on to public comment. Is there any public comment? All right, seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
We are adjourned.